Messy. So I discovered my wife's promotion party invitation in her vehicle. My name wasn't listed anywhere on it. Her former boyfriend's name was there instead, seated with her family in what should have been my place, while she got her big moment. I loaded up my belongings while she posed for pictures. I cleared out our joint finances. When she returned home that night, everything changed forever. I'm Derek Matthews, though most people just call me Derek. I'm 43, and I've dedicated the past 18 years constructing something I believed had value. 3 franchise coffee shop locations spread throughout the metropolitan region. Businesses bearing my name on the contracts, my effort poured into their foundations, my capital keeping operations running. Nothing fancy, just legitimate work. The type that used to let me rest peacefully. Used to being the key phrase there. I married Cassandra Bennett 21 years back. She was barely 20 then, young and ambitious with endless aspirations. I was 22 and naive enough to believe affection could overcome any obstacle. Our daughter Emma arrived a year after the wedding. She's currently in her 2nd year at the State University studying biology, residing in campus housing 3 hours from here. She's mature enough now to grasp that marriages don't always reflect what the photographs suggest. Cassandra holds a position as sales director at Biomed Innovations, one of those medium-sized corporations that distributes surgical instruments to medical facilities. She excels at her role, pulls in 6 figures annually, travels to industry conferences, networks with physicians and hospital executives. 3 weeks back, they elevated her position. Not officially announced yet, but the news is forthcoming. Vice President of Sales, Executive Office, Company Vehicle, the complete package. I stumbled upon the invitation completely by chance on Tuesday morning. I was searching for my insurance documentation in her car. We'd been planning to consolidate her vehicle onto my insurance policy, trying to reduce expenses a bit. That's when I noticed the envelope wedged between the passenger seat and center console. Expensive cream-colored stationery. The kind corporations utilize when they want recipients to feel valued. Biomed Innovations cordially invites you to celebrate Cassandra Matthews' promotion to Vice President of Sales, Friday, November 15th, 7 p.m., the Metropolitan Club. Dinner and reception to follow. Below that in smaller typography. Reserved seating for immediate family members. I extracted the seating chart tucked inside. Organized alphabetically by surname, there was her name. Cassandra Matthews. 2 seats at table 3. Her parents, Robert and Linda Bennett, were listed. Her brother, Christopher Bennett, and his spouse were there as well. I wasn't on it. Not at her table. Not at any table whatsoever. I stood in that driveway, clutching that invitation for an extended period, observing the paper trembling slightly in my grip. Not from fury, not initially, just that empty sensation you experience when you suddenly comprehend you've become background noise in your own marriage. Cassandra emerged 20 minutes later, coffee mug in hand, already engaged with her phone. She didn't register me standing there initially. When she did, her smile wavered just slightly. "Hey, babe," Cassandra said, her voice unnaturally cheerful. "Thought you'd already departed for the Riverside location." I held up the invitation without uttering a word. Her face did something complex, not quite guilt, not quite defiance, somewhere between, "Oh," she said. That, I repeated. "Your major promotion celebration? The one I'm apparently excluded from." Cassandra placed her coffee mug down on her car hood, deliberately, like she was purchasing time to formulate a response. I observed her face cycle through 3 distinct expressions before she finally settled on something between apologetic and defensive. "Derek, it's not what you're thinking," she said. "Then clarify what it is," I said, "because what I'm thinking is that my wife achieved VP status, and I'm not invited to witness her celebrate it." Cassandra crossed her arms. That's always been her tell. When she's about to articulate something she knows I won't appreciate, she crosses her arms like she's shielding herself from reality. "My parents arranged the seating," she said. "You understand how my father is regarding these corporate functions. He's extremely particular about appearances." "Appearances," I repeated. "Your father cares about appearances so intensely that his son-in-law of 21 years doesn't make the guest list?" "It's complicated, Derek." "Then uncomplicated." Cassandra looked away toward the street where our neighbor was walking his dog. Anywhere, except at me. "They think Brendan should be there." The name struck me like ice water. Brendan Sullivan. Her college boyfriend. The guy she dated for 2 years before we met. Some hospitality consultant who wore designer suits and discussed restaurant profit margins like they were scripture. I'd encountered him exactly twice. Once at Cassandra's company retreat 4 years ago, once at her father's birthday celebration last summer. Both times he'd looked at me like I was hired help. Brendan, I said. Your ex-boyfriend, Brendan? That Brendan? He's consulting with my company currently, Cassandra said, her voice acquiring that defensive edge. He's been assisting us restructure our distribution strategy. He's actually extremely valuable to the team. That's wonderful, Cass. Fantastic. But that doesn't explain why that he receives a seat at your celebration and I don't. She finally looked at me. Her jaw was rigid. Because my parents prefer him, okay? They always have. They think he's more their caliber. Their caliber? You know what I mean, Derek. He speaks their language, the corporate world, networking, that entire scene. You're excellent at what you do, but operating coffee shops isn't exactly... She trailed off, but the remainder of the sentence hung there regardless. Isn't exactly impressive to people like them. I felt something shift in my chest, not angry yet. Something colder than that. So let me ensure I understand this correctly, I said, maintaining my voice level. Your parents prefer your ex-boyfriend over your husband, and rather than inform them that's insane, you simply went along with it, didn't even mention it to me, just allowed me to discover it accidentally. I was going to tell you, Cassandra said, but even she didn't sound convinced. When? Friday night, when I asked how the party went? She didn't answer that. Just stood there in the driveway, arms still crossed, looking at me like I was the one being unreasonable. You know what the worst part is? I said. It's not that you didn't fight for me. It's that you didn't even think I'd care enough to fight back. I handed her the invitation. She took it, but didn't look at it. I need to get to the Riverside location, I said. Inventory deliveries arriving at 9. I walked past her, got in my truck, and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I could see her still standing there in the driveway, holding that cream-colored envelope, like it might combust. But here's the thing about quiet people. We don't always show you when we're hurt. We just start making plans. The Riverside location needed me, but not as much as I needed it. Sometimes you need a reason to escape your own thoughts, and counting inventory is as good as any. Besides, I do my best thinking when my hands are occupied. I spent Tuesday organizing the stockroom, checking delivery schedules, training the new employee on the espresso machine. Normal Tuesday activities, but between pulling shots and signing invoices, I was thinking about that seating chart, about Brendan Sullivan's name, and the spot where mine should have been. Around 2 in the afternoon, I called my accountant, Howard Chen. He's 68 years old, been managing my books since I opened the first location 15 years ago. Sharp as they come. Howard, I need you to pull something for me, I said. All joint account activity for the past 2 years, everything Cassandra and I have together, checking, savings, the investment accounts. That's substantial paperwork, Derek, Howard said. What am I looking for? I don't know yet. Just anything that appears off. Large withdrawals, unusual transfers, anything I didn't authorize. There was a pause. Howard's not stupid. He'd been married 40 years. He knew what this type of request meant. I'll have it for you by Thursday, he said. Thanks, Howard. And keep this between us. Always do. I hung up and returned to work, but I couldn't stop thinking. 8 months ago was when the Riverside location started losing market share. 3 regular corporate contracts we'd maintained for years suddenly went to a competitor across town. New place, called Momentum Cafe. Sleeker branding, aggressive pricing, suspiciously well-informed about our pricing structure. I attributed it to bad luck. Now, I wasn't so certain. That evening, Cassandra came home late again. Said she'd been at a strategy meeting with the VP team preparing for the transition. She kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong, asked how my day went, started making dinner like we were still the couple who told each other everything. Brendan called today, she said, stirring pasta sauce on the stove. Casual, too casual. He wanted to confirm some details about Friday's event. I'm sure he did, I said. Cassandra glanced at me. Derek, please don't be like this. Like what? Like a husband who just discovered he's been replaced by your ex at the biggest night of your career? You haven't been replaced. You're being dramatic. I set down my beer, looked at her directly. When did Brendan start consulting for your company? I told you, he's been helping with distribution strategies. When did it start? Why does it matter, Derek? Because 7 months ago, my Riverside location started hemorrhaging contracts to a competitor, and I'm wondering if those two things might be connected. Cassandra's stirring stopped, just for a second. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. You think Brendan is feeding information to your competitors? That's paranoid even for you. Is it? He's a hospitality consultant. He knows the industry. He's been working with you, which means he's been around our conversations, around our financial discussions. You tell him things about my business? Of course not. You sure about that? Because you didn't tell me you were working with him at all. So forgive me if I'm not taking your word for it. The sauce started bubbling over. Cassandra turned off the heat, moved the pan, and stood there with her back to me. Her shoulders were tight. I think I'm going to sleep in the guest room tonight, I said. Derek, I'm not angry, Cass. I'm just tired and I need some space to think. I left her in the kitchen and went upstairs. The guest room still had boxes in it from when we'd moved Emma's stuff out for college. I pushed them aside, lay down on the bed, and stared at the ceiling. My phone buzzed. Text from Emma. Hey, Dad, can we talk this weekend? Something's been on my mind. I stared at that message for a long time before responding. Of course, honey. Call me whenever. She didn't respond right away. That wasn't like her. Emma always responded immediately. I set the phone down and closed my eyes. But I wasn't sleeping. I was thinking about timelines, about coincidences that weren't coincidences, about my daughter's strange text and my wife's casual lies. Howard called Thursday morning while I was opening the downtown location. Derek, you need to come to my office, he said. No greeting, no small talk. That's when I knew it was bad. I got there by 10. Howard had papers spread across his desk like crime scene evidence. Bank statements, transaction records, copies of checks I'd never seen. Tell me what I'm looking at, I said. Howard pointed to the first stack. Joint savings account. You and Cassandra. 3 years ago, you had $240,000 in there. Money from your father's life insurance, plus what you'd saved from the franchises, right? That's our retirement fund. Was your retirement fund, Howard said. He slid another paper toward me. 18 months ago, Cassandra withdrew $80,000. The memo line says investment opportunity. My stomach dropped. I never authorized that, Howard. Signature's yours, though. I looked at the withdrawal slip. That was my signature, or a very good copy of it. I didn't sign this, Howard. Then we have a problem. He pulled out more papers. 6 months later, another $70,000. Same story. Your signature, no consultation. 3 months after that, $45,000 more. How much is left? $42,000. And that's only because she hit the annual gift tax limit. Couldn't take more without triggering IRS scrutiny. I sat back in the chair. Nearly $200,000 gone. Where did it go? Howard handed me another document. Wire transfers, all to the same LLC, Sullivan Hospitality Ventures. Brendan Sullivan. Of course it was. There's more, Howard said, and somehow I knew this was going to be worse. Your business accounts. Someone's been accessing the financial records. Not taking money directly, but pulling reports, vendor contracts, pricing structures, profit margins, everything. Shared login credentials. Cassandra's your co-owner on paper for tax purposes, remember? She has administrator access to the accounting software. These pulls happened after hours. Late evening, around 9 or 10 p.m. when you're usually asleep. Yeah. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, people were going about their normal Thursday, getting coffee, heading to work, living lives that hadn't just shattered into sharp pieces. There's one more thing, Howard said quietly. I turned around. I pulled the business registration records for Momentum Cafe, the competitor that's been taking your contracts. Silent partner listed as Sullivan Hospitality Ventures, registered 8 months ago. The room felt smaller suddenly. Brendan Sullivan wasn't just consulting with my wife. He was using information from my business to compete against me, using my money to fund it, and Cassandra had been helping him do it. What do I do, Howard? He looked at me over his reading glasses. Legally, you document everything. You protect yourself, you get a lawyer, and personally, Howard folded his hands. Personally, you decide if you want to fight or walk away. But Derek, if you walk away, you do it smart. You don't leave anything behind that can bite you later. I drove home in a fog. When I got there, the house was empty. Cassandra was at work, probably sitting in meetings with Brendan, planning strategies, laughing about something, not thinking about me at all. I went to the garage and found what I was looking for. 3 boxes marked college files in Cassandra's handwriting. Old paperwork she'd never thrown away. I opened the first one and started digging. Financial aid documents, transcripts, and buried at the bottom, a thank you card dated from 22 years ago. Cassandra's junior year, the year before we met. Thanks for the getaway to Pine Ridge. Next one's on me. Let's not wait so long between visits. Yours, Brendan, Pine Ridge. That was 7 hours away. Cassandra had told me she'd spent that spring break volunteering at a homeless shelter. I remembered because I'd felt guilty for going to Cancun with my buddies while she was doing charity work. She hadn't been at a shelter. She'd been in a cabin with Brendan. I sat on the garage floor with that card in my hand and something cold settled in my chest. Not rage, not even hurt anymore. Just clarity. Perfect crystalline clarity. She'd been lying to me from the beginning, and she'd gotten so comfortable with it that she'd stopped being careful. That was her mistake. Friday morning started like any other. Cassandra's alarm went off at 6. I heard her shower running, heard her moving through the bedroom, heard the closet door open and close as she picked out something for the big day. I was already awake, had been for hours, lying in the guest room bed, watching the ceiling fade from black to gray as dawn came through the window. By 7, I was dressed. Jeans, work boots, my old Colorado State hoodie. Cassandra was in the kitchen, coffee in hand, scrolling through her phone. She looked up when I came down the stairs. "Morning," she said. Careful, like she was testing the temperature of the water. "Morning," I said back. "You working at the downtown location today?" "That's the plan." She nodded, sipped her coffee. "So about tonight? Have a great time," I said. "You've earned it." Something flickered across her face. Relief, maybe, like she'd expected a fight and was grateful not to get one. "Thank you," she said. "That means a lot." I poured myself coffee, black, no sugar. Same way I'd been drinking it for 20 years. "What time does it start?" 7, but I need to be there by 6 for photos and pre-reception stuff. "Makes sense." "Derek, She stopped, started again. "I know this has been weird, but after tonight, things will settle down. We can talk. Really talk about everything, okay?" "Sure," I said, "after tonight." She smiled, small, uncertain, but real. Then she kissed my cheek and left for work. I stood in the kitchen for a long time after her car pulled away, thinking about that kiss, about how easy it was to lie with a smile. Then I got to work. First call went to Howard. Transfer my half of the joint accounts into my personal business account. Everything. Do it this morning. "Derek, that's going to trigger alerts." "I know. Do it anyway. And pull me off every joint authorization. Credit cards, utilities, everything with both our names. I want my name removed by end of business today." "You're sure about this?" "I've never been more sure of anything." Second call went to my lawyer, Rebecca Walsh. She's 56 years old. Best family attorney in the metro area. I'd met her twice at Chamber of Commerce events. Never thought I'd need her. "Rebecca, it's Derek Matthews. I need to retain you today." "What's going on, Derek?" "My wife's been emptying our accounts to fund her ex-boyfriend's business. She's been feeding him information from my franchises, and I need to make sure when this blows up, I'm protected." There was a pause. "Come to my office at 9. Bring everything you've got." I spent 90 minutes in Rebecca's office, showed her the bank records, the forged signatures, the LLC documents, the timeline of my business losses that matched exactly with Brendan Sullivan's gains. She took notes, asked questions. By the time I left, I had a strategy. "File separation papers Monday," Rebecca said. "Don't tell her it's coming. Don't give her time to hide assets or create a narrative. You hit first, hit hard, and hit with documentation." "What about tonight? Her celebration?" Rebecca looked at me over her glasses. "What about it?" "Do I go? Do I confront her there?" "Derek, you're asking me as your lawyer or as a person?" "Both." She leaned back in her chair. "As your lawyer, I say stay away. Don't create a scene. Don't give her ammunition for a claim of maltreatment or emotional misuse." "As a person?" She smiled, thin and cold. "I say do what you need to do. Just don't do anything stupid." I left her office at 11, drove to the downtown location. My assistant manager, Kyle, was behind the counter. Good kid, 24 years old, working on his business degree at night. "Kyle, I need you to run all 3 locations starting Monday," I said. His eyes went wide. "What?" "Personal stuff. I'll still be around, just not day-to-day for a while. You can handle it." "I know you can." "Derek, if this is about Cassandra," I looked at him sharply. "What about Cassandra?" Kyle shifted uncomfortably. "Nothing, just I saw her having lunch with some guy a few months back at that Italian place downtown. They looked close. I didn't want to say anything because it wasn't my business, but how close? Holding hands across the table close. I nodded, kept my voice level. Thanks for telling me, Kyle. I'm sorry, man. Don't be. You didn't do anything wrong. I spent the afternoon at the Riverside location checking inventory, reviewing schedules, doing the normal Friday closing procedures. Around 4, I went to the storage unit Cassandra and I had rented years ago, the one she thought I'd forgotten about. I pulled out old college paperwork, tax returns from the early years of our marriage, the deed to our house. Everything important, everything that proved what I'd contributed, what I'd built. Then I drove home. Cassandra's car wasn't in the driveway. She was already at the Metropolitan Club getting ready for her big moment. I walked through the house like I was seeing it for the first time. 20 years of furniture we'd picked out together, photos on the walls, Emma's baby shoes in a shadow box. All the physical evidence of a life that had been a lie. I didn't pack everything, just what mattered. Clothes, toiletries, my laptop, important documents. 2 suitcases and a box. That's what 20 years came down to. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter right next to the coffee maker where she'd see it in the morning. Then I left. I didn't go to the Metropolitan Club. I went somewhere better. The storage unit was cold. Concrete floors, metal walls, fluorescent lights humming overhead. But it was quiet. Private. Exactly what I needed. I'd rented it 2 weeks ago under my business name. Small, 10 by 10, just big enough for the boxes I'd brought from the house. Now I added to the collection. The laptop Cassandra didn't know I had, the backup drive with copies of every financial document. The folder Howard had given me with highlighted transaction records. The notebook where I'd been tracking timelines, cross-referencing dates, everything she thought was hidden, everything she thought I'd never find. I sat on a folding chair and pulled out my phone. 7:15. The celebration had started. Cassandra was probably giving her acceptance speech right now, thanking the executive team, thanking her parents, thanking Brendan for his invaluable professional guidance. My phone buzzed. Text from Emma. I'm driving home tonight instead of tomorrow morning. Need to see you. Something's wrong. I stared at that message. Something's wrong. Emma knew. I don't know how, but she knew. I called her. She answered on the first ring. Dad? Hey, sweetheart. What's going on? Where are you? I called the house. Mom didn't answer. Your mom's at her celebration, the VP thing. Right. And where are you? Working late? There was a pause. Then Emma's voice got quieter. Dad, don't lie to me, please. I closed my eyes. How much do you know? Grandma called me last week, and she said, asked if I was excited about Mom's promotion. Asked if I had met Brendan Sullivan yet. Said he was going to be at the celebration sitting with them. I asked who Brendan Sullivan was, and Grandma got weird. Said he was just a business associate. But Dad, the way she said it, like she expected me to already know. Like everyone knew except you. My chest tightened. Emma, Mom's been cheating on you, hasn't she? Emma said. Flat, not a question, a statement. Yeah, I said. Yeah, she has. I heard Emma take a shaky breath. How long? I don't know yet, but longer than I want to think about. What are you going to do? I'm going to handle it the right way, the legal way. But Emma, I need you to not be in the middle of this. You understand? I'm already in the middle of it, Dad. She's my mom. You're my dad. There's no way I'm not in the middle. Then let me make this easier. I'm leaving your mom. Filing for separation. It's going to get messy. But no matter what happens, no matter what she says or what your grandparents say, you need to know something. What? I love you. That doesn't change, ever. You don't have to pick sides. You don't have to fix this. You just have to keep being my daughter. That's all I need from you. Emma was crying now. I love you too, Dad. I know, sweetheart. Now turn around. Go back to campus. Don't come home this weekend. Trust me on this. But, Emma, please, let me handle this part, okay? She was quiet for a long time, then, okay, but Dad, when this is over, when everything's settled, I'm on your side, just so you know. I appreciate that, honey, more than you know. We hung up. I sat there in the storage unit, surrounded by evidence of my wife's betrayal, and felt something shift. Not anger anymore, not hurt. Something colder, something final. I pulled up Cassandra's Instagram. She'd posted 10 minutes ago. A photo of her at the podium, mid-speech, smiling at the crowd. Caption, grateful for this incredible opportunity and everyone who believed in me. The comments were already rolling in. Congratulations. Well deserved. So proud of you. I scrolled to the tagged photos. Someone had posted a wider shot of the room. I zoomed in on table 3. There was Cassandra's father, Robert, her mother, Linda, her brother, Christopher, and sitting right next to Linda, smiling like he belonged there, was Brendan Sullivan. He was wearing my spot at her celebration, sitting with my in-laws, probably toasting to her success with my money that he'd stolen. I took a screenshot, added it to my evidence folder, labeled it November 15th, the night she chose him. Then I turned off my phone and went to the hotel I'd booked. Extended stay, month to month. 1 room, kitchenette, no questions asked. I ordered a burger from room service, ate it while watching some game I didn't care about. Took a shower, lay down on a bed that wasn't mine, in a room that smelled like industrial cleaning products. And for the first time in weeks, I slept. Because the hard part was over. The wondering, the suspecting, the hoping I was wrong. Now I knew. And knowing meant I could act. Saturday morning, my phone rang at 8. Cassandra's name on the screen. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Not because I was cruel, because I wanted her to feel what waiting felt like. Derek, she said when I picked up. Her voice was tight, controlled. Where are you? Does it matter? Of course it matters. You left. You took your things and left without saying a word. I came home last night and you were just gone. How was the party? I asked. The question threw her. I could hear it in the pause. What? Your celebration, how was it? Did Brendan enjoy sitting at your table with your parents? Another pause, longer this one. Derek, if this is about the seating arrangements, it's not about the seating arrangements, Cassandra. It's about 200,000 silence. Complete silence. I could picture her face, the color draining out of it. I don't know what you're talking about, she said finally. Yes, you do. Sullivan Hospitality Ventures, the LLC. You've been funneling our retirement money into Brendan's little investment fund, the one he used to open Momentum Cafe and steal my contracts. Derek, I can explain. Can you explain the forged signatures? Because Howard showed me the withdrawal slips. That's my signature on documents I never signed. That's called fraud, Cassandra. That's a felony. Her breathing changed, got faster. You're talking to lawyers. Of course I'm talking to lawyers. What did you think I was going to do? Just let you rob me blind? It wasn't robbery, it was an investment. Brendan needed my money to compete against me. And you helped him do it. You gave him our financial information, our vendor contracts, our pricing structure, everything he needed to undercut my business and drive customers away. That's not... When she stopped, started again. Derek, you don't understand the full picture. Then explain it to me. Explain why my wife has been spending 18 months stealing from me to fund her ex-boyfriend's business. Explain why you've been meeting him for lunch at your usual spot while telling me you're in meetings. Explain the thank you card from Pine Ridge. The weekend you told me you were volunteering at a shelter. You went through my things. You went through my bank accounts. We're past privacy, Cassandra. She was crying now. Quiet tears, but I could hear them. Derek, please come home. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. Monday morning, you're getting served with separation papers. Tuesday morning, I'm filing a police report for fraud and identity theft. And by the end of next week, every client you stole from me is going to know exactly what Brendan Sullivan is. You can't do that. That's slander. It's not slander if it's true. And I've got documentation, Cassandra. Bank records, forged signatures, transaction histories. Everything your fancy new VP salary can't make disappear. She was quiet for a long time. Then, what about Emma? Emma already knows. She called me last night. And you know what she said? She said she's on my side because even our 19-year-old daughter could see what you've been doing. I'm done, Cassandra. With the marriage, with the lies, with pretending I don't see what's right in front of me. You want Brendan? You can have him. But you don't get to keep my money, my business reputation, and my dignity, too. I hung up before she could respond. My hand was shaking. Not from anger, from relief. I'd said it, all of it. The truth I'd been carrying for weeks. My phone rang again. Immediately. I declined the call. It rang again. Declined again. Then a text came. Please don't do this. I'm sorry. We can work this out. I love you. I stared at those 3 words. I love you. 21 years of marriage, and that's what she said now, after everything. I deleted the message and blocked her number. Then I called Emma. "Hey, Dad," she answered. "You okay?" "I'm okay, sweetheart. Just wanted to hear your voice. Mom's been calling me all morning, crying, saying you won't talk to her." "That's accurate." "Good," Emma said. "Don't. She doesn't deserve it." Monday morning, 9 a.m. Rebecca Walsh's office. She had 3 folders spread across her conference table, each one thicker than the last. "Derek, sit down," Rebecca said. "We need to talk about what I found." I sat, braced myself. "Your wife didn't just steal from you," Rebecca said. "She committed wire fraud, identity theft, and what might be considered racketeering, depending on how the DA wants to charge it." Racketeering? She and Brendan Sullivan have been operating a scheme for 18 months. They take your business intelligence, use it to undercut your franchise locations, then funnel profits back through the LLC. That's organized criminal activity. It fits the RICO statute. I sat back in the chair. "You're saying my wife is running a criminal enterprise?" "Technically, yes. But here's where it gets interesting." Rebecca pulled out another document. "I had a private investigator run background on Brendan Sullivan. Turns out this isn't his first time." She slid a paper across the table. Court record from Oregon. Brendan Sullivan, sued by his former business partner for fraud and misappropriation of funds. Settled out of court 3 years ago for an undisclosed amount. "He's done this before," I said. "At least once, probably more. And Cassandra either didn't know or didn't care." "What does this mean for the separation?" Rebecca smiled, thin and sharp. "It means you have leverage. Criminal charges hanging over her head tend to make people very cooperative in divorce negotiations." The separation papers were filed Monday at 2 p.m. By 4 p.m., Cassandra had been served at her office. Rebecca's paralegal told me she'd gone pale when she read them, asked if there was any way to stop it. There wasn't. Tuesday morning, I walked into the police station and filed a formal complaint. Fraud, identity theft, forgery. The detective assigned to my case was a woman in her 50s named Martinez. She listened to everything, reviewed my documentation, and told me they'd open an investigation. The forged signatures alone were enough for charges. Wednesday, Cassandra showed up at the downtown location. I was in the back office when Kyle came to get me, looking nervous. "Your wife's here," he said. "She's asking to talk to you." I walked out to the front. Cassandra was standing by the counter, looking smaller than I remembered. Her eyes were red, makeup smudged. She'd been crying. "Derek, please," she said when she saw me. "Can we talk privately?" I looked at Kyle. "Take your break." He nodded and disappeared into the back. I crossed my arms and waited. "I never meant for any of this to happen," Cassandra said. It got out of control." "When did it start?" I asked. "The affair? When did it start?" She looked down at her hands. 2 years ago, at the conference in Denver. We ran into each other at the hotel bar and started talking. One thing led to another. 2 years, not 18 months. 2 years. "And the money?" I asked. Brendan had this idea for a cafe concept. He needed investors. I thought if I helped him get started, if his business took off, maybe we could all benefit. Your franchises, his cafe, we could coexist. Except he didn't want to coexist. He wanted to destroy me. "I didn't know that's what he was planning," Cassandra said. "I swear, Derek. When I realized he was using the information to compete against you, I tried to stop it, but by then it was too late. He had everything he needed. You could have told me. And say what? That I'd been having an affair for 2 years and accidentally helped my boyfriend steal from you? You would have left me. I'm leaving you now. I know." She wiped her eyes. "I know, but Derek, the police, the criminal charges, that's going to destroy my career. Everything I've worked for. You should have thought about that before you forged my signature. I'm begging you, please, drop the charges. I'll give you whatever you want in the divorce. The house, the savings, everything. Just please don't let this become a criminal case." I looked at her, really looked at her. This woman I'd spent 21 years with, who I'd built a life with, who I'd trusted completely. And I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no sympathy, just emptiness. "No," I said. "Derek, you made your choices, Cassandra. Now you get to live with the consequences, just like I have to live with mine." "What about Emma? Have you thought about what this will do to her?" "Emma's already made her choice. She's on my side. Because, unlike you, she understands what loyalty means." Cassandra's face crumpled. "I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. For 2 years, you hurt me every single day. You just made sure I didn't know about it." I walked back to the office and closed the door. Through the window, I watched her stand there for another minute, then turn and leave. Kyle came back from his break, looked at me with concern. "You good, boss?" "Yeah," I said. I'm good." Thursday afternoon, Rebecca called with an update. Brendan Sullivan's lawyer reached out wanting to negotiate. He was willing to return the money, all of it, plus interest, in exchange for dropping civil claims. "What about the criminal charges?" I asked. "Those are separate. The DA handles those. But if he returns the money, it weakens the case significantly. So he gets away with it. Not entirely. His reputation's going to take a hit. Word's already spreading in the hospitality industry. But yeah, he probably avoids jail time." I thought about it. The money would help rebuild the franchises and secure Emma's future. "What do you recommend?" "Take the money. You're not going to get justice from the criminal system anyway. These cases take years. This way you get made whole, and he still loses his reputation." "And Cassandra?" "Her charges are separate. She forged your signature. That's between her and the DA. But Derek, you might consider showing some mercy there. She's Emma's mother. Dragging this through criminal court is going to be hell on your daughter." I sat with that for a while. Rebecca was right. Emma didn't deserve to watch her mother go to prison. "Tell Brendan's lawyer I'll take the deal," I said. "But I want the money by end of week. And I want a signed confession about what he did. Done. And Cassandra, I'll think about it." Friday morning, $198,000 appeared in my business account. Wire transfer from Sullivan Hospitality Ventures. Rebecca sent me the signed confession an hour later. I saved it in 3 different places as insurance. That afternoon, I called Detective Martinez and dropped the charges against Cassandra, for Emma's sake. The detective understood, but said the charges against Brendan were still moving forward. I called Emma to tell her. "I'm dropping the criminal charges against your mom," I said, "because she's your mother, and because you don't deserve to spend the next year watching this play out in court." "Dad, you don't have to do this for me. I'm not just doing it for you, I'm doing it for me too. I'm tired of being angry. I just want to move forward." "I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart." 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Cassandra got to keep her job, barely. Biomed Innovations put her on probation, moved her to a different division, took away the VP title. She got the house, I got the business, and most of the liquid assets. Brendan Sullivan's cafe closed 4 months after opening. Turns out when everyone in the industry knows you're a fraud, it's hard to get investors or customers. Last I heard, he'd moved to Arizona, probably looking for his next mark. Emma came home for summer break. We spent a lot of time together, just the two of us. Long conversations about life and trust, and how to know when someone's worth believing in. I opened a 4th franchise location in August. New neighborhood, new customers, new start. Business is good. Turns out when you're not being sabotaged, coffee shops can be pretty profitable. I still think about that invitation sometimes, the cream-colored paper, the seating chart with my name missing, the moment I realized my marriage was over. But I don't think about it with anger anymore. Just with gratitude that I found out when I did, that I had the strength to walk away, that I'm free. Someone asked me recently if I regret how I handled everything. The answer is no. I did exactly what I needed to do. I protected myself, I protected my daughter, and I made sure the people who hurt me faced consequences. And that's the thing about betrayal. You can't control what other people do to you. You can only control how you respond. I chose to respond with clarity, with documentation, with strategy. I chose to fight smart instead of fighting angry. So if you're reading this and you're going through something similar, here's my advice. Document everything. Trust your instincts. Get a good lawyer. And remember that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just building a better life without the people who tried to tear you down. I'm Derek Matthews. I'm 44 years old now. I own 4 successful coffee franchises. I have a daughter who loves me and respects me. I sleep well at night, and I'm finally free.